We found the perfect way to rank quarterbacks in the NFL. Stay tuned to find out if your team's quarterback in the NFC made the cut as a top-tier signal caller. So everybody does their own way of ranking quarterbacks. I thought of this brilliant idea. I pitched this to Sean earlier. What if we just did shit or not shit for ranking quarterbacks? It's just a two-tier system here. It is yes or no. There are no layers to this. But then when I was thinking about this earlier on how we were actually going to break this down, it actually arguably is harder to do this than if we had like 4 different tiers, right? You see what I mean? Where like if you had to actually, when we get down to the nitty gritty of talking about some of these guys that are on either end.
On the bubble.
Right, on the bubble. We got to make a real debate.
Yeah, the 14 to 18 level guys,
yes.
If they're getting pooled into the shit category as the 28 to 32 level guys, that's where we start to have the real disconnect. And also, if a quarterback is deemed as shit by myself or Joe DeLeone, you'll get to hear this.
Oh, you went all out.
We don't have any production for good quarterbacks or quarterbacks that we like, because that's not how we operate.
Time for that one?
But if Joe were to say somebody is in the shit tier again, you hear that, and now everyone can follow through in case they miss the name.
We are only doing NFC quarterbacks today. Should we, after we do NFC and AFC, should we do a third, or is that too much where we take all of the not shit quarterbacks and then we dig a little deep? No, that's too much.
Well, let's see how this one goes.
Doesn't make any sense.
I think if we see how this one goes numbers wise, then we can determine what if we end up with 20 not shit quarterbacks in the league?
I think
what
we
if
need
we
to be
end up there
here,
and then we would have to filter through, like we would do a full last ditch effort filter through show.
I'm glad that we're talking this through before we actually do this. We're going to jump in right after this. I want to be very clear here. We are being very stingy. We need to be as stingy as possible. We can't be, if we have to make a debate for somebody a little too hard, that means they go in the shit category. That's how my eyes are working on this.
Okay, gotcha. I'm glad you're coming through with that. I will try to clear all previous show biases for these players as well.
I find that hard to believe.
I will try to not be overreactionary if Trevor Lawrence is brought up on the AFC show. But I will. What are you taking the first guy out there for?
Well, I'm going to copy and paste. Just can you not get distracted?
I'm worried about him because after your qualifiers, that guy should not be in the shit category.
All right, we're going to start with the NFC South here. Michael Penix Jr., the Atlanta Falcons starting quarterback. My vote is shit because he hasn't played. He's played a couple of games. He's had a couple of nice plays. He hasn't done enough to prove himself. If you haven't proven yourself, you're shit. Automatically in my category.
Not shit. Michael Penix. Michael Penix is the truth. He is a quarterback that
you just said that you weren't going to allow your biases to impact your.
How did
your
I?
On this.
Okay. So what did you say Michael Penix Jr. was?
He was shit.
Okay. There's Joe's vote. My vote, not shit. I will stand by that. We've seen him. We've seen what he did at the end of last year, Joe. He's a competent starter in the league. He will not be shit this year, and he is currently not shit. This is a not shit quarterback. I would say he is right now second best in that division by a slim margin.
Okay, first of all, we're going to be careful by not saying shit 10 times every time we talk about a guy. He had 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions this last year. He had a handful of games that he played. What about what he did tells you that he is not shit?
Game-tying drive against Washington. An incredible cover 2 buster throw week prior. He is a laser rocket arm ball deliverer, and one of those interceptions came from Kyle Pitts literally handing the ball to the other team on the 3-yard line. So
I picked the worst possible person to start us off with here because where we place Michael Penix automatically sets the tone for the rest of this list.
I'd be fair and safe and say he's the 15th best quarterback in the league right now.
Okay, that is way too – you're giving him way too much praise there. You're giving him the 15th best quarterback
right in the middle
right now.
Yeah. Second year coming in. I'm going right in the middle. I'll go right in the middle with him.
He had one game where he threw over 300 yards. He hasn't gone over 2 touchdowns.
No, he's a gamer. He is going to be the truth.
I'm not saying he's bad, and that's what I'm trying to be very clear here. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. Okay, actually, maybe this was a good guy to start with because how do we handle somebody who has not played that much? How are we supposed to handle that? We're not doing any rookies, by the way. There's no rookies that are being done with these lists.
I'm going with what I saw, how I felt about the guy. I would not put him in that category of the I would put him in the not shit category
Fine.
happily.
I will allow for this. Wow. So we are setting the precursor. The precedent has been set here with Michael Penix. Okay. If he has a small enough of a sample size and he didn't look like total dog water, he's allowed to go in not shit.
Deal.
All right. Derek Carr. Do we even need to debate this one? Shit.
On. Well, yeah. All right. Let's go horn for Joe and Sean's vote. And that's, yeah.
Quick explanation. Not only is he an extremely below average quarterback, once the king of averageness, he was the modern Andy Dalton for a couple of years. He was the true Andy Dalton of Andy Daltons, the way that he was in his final time with the Raiders. And then he goes to the Saints, and he has been a big reason for that team just going backwards. And they all hate him. All the fans absolutely hate him. I don't think I would love to find a single person that is an NFL fan, not even a Saints fan, just an NFL fan that would not say that Derek Carr is shit. No one is putting up a fight for him.
Man of God, quality man, leader, expensive, underachiever. Definitely.
Why'd you have to have those first couple
you know what?
things?
I just feel like even with all those good things that he does in the community and the way that he devotes his life to Christ and all that stuff, like there has to be a little asterisk by that for me. Still, quarterback tier, he's in the shit tier. That easy, and everyone can see it. Like there should be no pushback on this one.
Okay, now we got another tough one. Bryce Young, the Panthers quarterback, shit or not shit? What do you think?
You know what? I've seen enough bad play for him. I'm going to put him in the shit tier. Sorry, Bryce Young. I'm waiting for
15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He had that last little late stretch of the season where he looked really good, but is that ultimately? Yeah, I mean he didn't have a single game over 300 yards passing last year. Yeah, he's going into shit.
Yeah,
Bryce got to step it up.
This is a show that's rooted for him. That rooted for him to get benched and learn from that, and then cheered for him when he came off the bench and did better. But that he does not cross the threshold for me yet. And Carolina, let's see what they do this year. Should still be underwhelming.
I feel pretty adamant that Baker Mayfield is not shit, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback. What do you? I know you're going to have some biased take with this. Go ahead.
I don't need. I love Baker, and honestly,
the look you just gave me says that there's a big qualifier coming up.
You walked into that one with no qualifier of just confident in Baker. That's fool's gold. Understanding Baker and understanding that he is not shit, that is ball knower. But you have to understand that the amount of irritation that Baker Mayfield can cause on a fan base through a full game is high. There's a high level of it, but he is still a good quarterback, and he has got away from all that early career drama and jumping around team from team. Landing spot, he's been solid. Playoffs the last 3 years with Tampa. I think he's been there 2 years full-time starter. Playoffs in both of them, not shit. Well, happy with that one.
The biggest thing with him, and some might argue when he was with the Panthers, this might not truly apply, but I would argue it does because the Panthers were so bad when he got traded there. He's been an elevator every single team that he's been on. He elevated the Browns to a competitive playoff team, so much so that they tricked themselves into thinking that they were better off with a more dynamic quarterback, that they fell for the whole Deshaun Watson nonsense, that whole scam with that pervert. He ended up with the Rams for that one game where he had no time to learn the playbook and help them in that very short period of stretch when they were completely down multiple quarterbacks. And then immediately, as soon as he goes to the Bucs, they feel like they are far more competitive than anyone expected them to be since Tom Brady retired. So yeah, him going into to not shit, I think is. Do you have any reservations with that?
No, I don't. I am confident in Baker Mayfield, and I think that he has elevated his game to a level where we should be respecting it. And coming off of the NFC South, if it's 2-2 throughout divisions, I think we're doing a pretty good job so far.
I don't think we need much of a debate for Jaden Daniels going into not shit. He's already proved to us that if he takes the step that we're anticipating, he was already at an almost MVP level, take over a game, drag his team back, dominate top teams in the NFC. He is going to be a top 5 quarterback, but that's not how the list works.
Right.
It's just shit or not shit. So he's not shit.
Not shit. Very good quarterback. Excited.
This is one of the stupidest exercises we've ever done.
Yeah, but
show.
You know what? That one's easy. That's a very easy one. We saw it, and everyone's eye test and then also numbers test with him would clear it. Excited to track how many people decide to throw sophomore slump around with him because they're lazy. And that's the only thing they can say about second-year quarterbacks.
Well, a sophomore year slump for him is like what, a drop off by
A first round exit.
or a first round exit, and he throws like 5 less touchdowns. Yeah, people are going to try and make that argument. He would need to have a serious drop off to move tiers here, to move into shit. Like he would have to be a mess this year, turnover prone.
You'd have to forget everything that he did from this season, because everything he did this season was it was excellent. It was superb.
All right, Dak Prescott is, what do we do with this?
Dak Prescott, not shit on my vote here. Dak Prescott, when given proper weapons, and I'm sound like every Dallas talk radio morning host.
Sure.
He was left on an island with CeeDee Lamb last year, no running backs, and an injured, falling apart offensive line. So, and a defense that provided him no help. Dak Prescott, when afforded the luxuries of, I'd say, an average offense around him, elevates that offense. Last year's offense around him, below average. So he had a rough year. I'm not going to put Dak Prescott in shit category just because, like, that is it would feel right to do, because he's a Cowboys quarterback that hasn't done anything in the playoffs. Like, in your heart of hearts, you think like, oh, that means that he would be in the other category. No. I still am holding out faith for him for some reason.
I think that the way that you just framed it is the clear argument for why he is not shit, is because Dak has higher expectations than everybody else. So automatically we conclude that he is a failure because he has not won a Super Bowl. He's not won a ton of playoff games. They've been fantastic during regular seasons. He has put up big numbers in multiple years as a starter for some time now. But every single time they step into the playoffs, they get smoked. But the problem is, again, any other quarterback, we have completely different expectations because he is the Dallas Cowboys' current starting quarterback. It's the microscope. It's the constant week-by-week focus. What did Dak do this week? Did he do enough? Did he not do enough? All you hear about is that they should eventually replace him when it's impossible to find somebody as good as Dak. So I will put him into not shit. I think most NFL teams would kill to have Dak Prescott as their starting quarterback.
Agreed. And one other layer, he had you know what, I was going to be mean there. He had a coach that didn't work for him in Dallas.
I don't Brian Schottenheimer.
That might not help him very much, but instead of lashing out and being mean to Mike McCarthy, I will say they weren't on the same page. I think that's the more professional route to go here.
No debate for where Jalen Hurts lands here. A guy who just won what is that?
I mean, no debate. It's a little gimmicky, but I would lean where you're currently leaning. It's a little gimmicky. All I'm going to say.
Wait. I would push back on. Okay, first of all, we can't put a guy who just won a Super Bowl. Into the shit category. He's not a bad starting quarterback.
You're not going to hear me play for Jalen Hurts. Like, that's not going to happen.
Okay.
Finger slip there.
I would argue, as you try to claim that he is gimmicky, my pushback to that is that he's had 2 different offensive coordinators over the past few seasons, 2 different Super Bowl runs, and this time around, they won a Super Bowl. He's going to have a new offensive coordinator again. We'll be able to have a real indication of how differently things will feel if there was a lot to do with Moore and how much he was impacting his success this year. But for him to be able to step up and adjust as often as he does, and for them to be one of the better teams in the NFL, I know he's got the best supporting cast out of any freaking team, more than Mahomes, more than Josh Allen, more than Lamar Jackson. He's got the best supporting cast that anyone can ask for. His performance is still enough to be recognized the way that he played in the Super Bowl. Don't give me that smirk.
I'm not giving a smirk. I just think that it's easy for an offensive coordinator to come in and say, oh, well, at least I have third and shorts covered. At least I have short yardage covered right now. Like, I think it does make it easier, and that's a benefit to Jalen Hurts for being such a great athlete to be able to use that. I'm just starting to recall some of his playoff numbers passing last season, and they were rough. 140 yards, 180 yards. Not eclipsing 200 yards passing in the playoffs, which old school Sean Anderson hypocrite football here says, you just run the ball in the playoffs and do it. And who cares? You win a Super Bowl. Well, now we're talking about a shit, not shit tier here. How much are we going to factor that in?
You're nitpicking way too much.
I didn't like that you came in and said there was no debate around him, whereas everybody has been constantly debating Jalen Hurts.
Jackasses if we sat here and we put him into the shit category.
I'm not doing that.
He won a Super Bowl, Sean.
I'm aware.
And it's not like it was Saquon who ran for 150 yards this year. It was him who had the big game. He had the biggest performance. He was the reason why they succeeded.
I'm on your side.
If they had lost that game and exactly how the game transpired, where Saquon was bottled up because the Chiefs focused so intently on slowing him down, and Jalen Hurts had a mediocre game, maybe a little bit worse than the way that he played and they lost, we'd be having a different conversation here. But he stepped up. We can't do that to a guy who just won a Super Bowl. Do you understand how insane that sounds?
I'm not doing anything to him.
I don't know about that.
You kind of walked into this quarterback with saying there's just no debate about him. There's a little bit.
I have a hot take here for Jared Goff.
Oh no,
I'm putting Jared Goff in a shit category.
Wow, you're kidding me, Joseph.
Where would you put him?
Not shit.
Why?
Because he's gotten better every year in the league. And I think you're putting him into the shit category because he doesn't have Ben Johnson with him this year. And I think you're worried about that.
I definitely am worried about that.
Jared Goff has proven to me to be he has been a crucial part of franchise resurrection in Detroit. He was also a crucial part in getting the Rams on their feet from resurrection, even though he wasn't the guy to take them all the way to glory. He helped get them up. He's a good enough quarterback to take a horrid team, a horrid franchise, and make them competitive instantly by him being on the field. That is not a shit quarterback. Jared Goff in the not shit category for me.
I'm starting to realize now that we're going to end up with a lot of not shit quarterbacks. The other thing I realized as we were talking,
AFC is going to be a little dicey.
Yeah. Wyatt's going to have a lot to work with on today's show because he's going to have a lot of us just throwing around the word shit every other word. We're going to have a lot of comments on the clips this week.
I hope so. Get in the mix, people. Jared Goff, at least.
You know what?
What did Jared Goff do last year that he could have done more of?
How badly they collapsed in the playoffs. How just
It was a miracle game, by the way. Washington was in a miracle energy, and then Detroit, home stadium, home field crowds rocking.
That's my whole point.
They don't lose that game 99 times out of 100, and they lost it for one time.
No, but that's my whole point is that he had everything leaning in his direction, and he didn't step up to the plate. He has never been a win because of he has been a win with. That was why I was just completely nauseated. But what is on the TV? They got long hurdles going on the TV. I'm sorry.
You yelled at me.
I'm
5 minutes into the show for asking
for
a rundown modification, and you're watching a nice race. Yeah, that's not bad here.
I was unexpected. That dude
400
is
meters.
Tall. That dude on the far left is tall. All right, we got to get back on track here. When he was in the MVP race, when Jared Goff was in the MVP race, I was so out on that conversation. I think that a lot of people, it's just like with Brock Purdy. Everybody looks at the numbers, looks and see that they won.
They were good.
Nobody can stare past the information that is in front of their faces. I think there's a lot of games where you think to yourself, man, if only Jared Goff was just a little bit better, this team would have really been challenged.
Even if Jared Goff was a little bit better in that playoff game, they weren't beating Washington. And that's the problem. It was a football miracle.
Okay, so you set this precedent here with Michael Penix.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing with J.J. McCarthy?
Should we create an extra option?
Should we just not? You know what? Actually, no. Timeout. Taking him. He's not allowed to be. He doesn't qualify. He didn't play. He didn't play. No, he doesn't qualify. Just like Cam Ward doesn't qualify, and none of the other rookies from this past draft in 2025. None of those guys are going to qualify, especially because none of them are expected to start. But Cam Ward, who is going to be the Titans starting quarterback this upcoming year in Week 1. He is not going to count. We don't know. We don't have a sample size for J.J. McCarthy. That would be unfair of us to do to qualify him as shit or not shit, or more importantly, to qualify him as shit would be unjustified. We would be very poor judges if we did that.
That's fine. That's fine. I think you saved yourself about 5 minutes worth of J.J. McCarthy yelling also, which helps the show.
You know what?
That's fine.
No, he's not. He doesn't qualify, but why can you say after him not playing any games, you would consider him shit?
Just worried about him. I'm worried that he doesn't have the mental fortitude for the NFL.
You sound like you're talking about your buddy who just came off of a breakup. That sounds like the way that you're.
I am worried about him. I mean,
I didn't mean that guy specifically. I just meant the tone that
both of them. I mean, there's more pressure on J.J. McCarthy coming in than there would be if he was starting last year just as a rookie, because we wouldn't have seen the near finished product that Minnesota has built over the last 2 years. You build a Lamborghini, and all you need is a driver that can keep the foot on the pedal. That's a lot of pressure for McCarthy to be the driver there when you got a beautiful car at Le Mans ready to go 24 hours through the night. I don't think he has that club in his bag.
It's just like an F1. The car is the most important part. Having a good driver is important, but he's got the tools to be a good driver. The car is great, man. The car's got every, piece of advanced engineering in there it needs. It's ready to fly. It already flew last year with a worse driver. I think he's going to be fine.
What did you just drop on me? A worse driver?
We need to. Sam Darnold was. I can't believe you. We're shocking. We're going to have a real conversation when we get to Sam Darnold.
It's going to be a real conversation about how many wins you think the Vikings would get this year.
Jordan Love, not shit.
Jordan Love dancing on it, but Jordan Love officially not shit on my book also.
No, he is an elevator. That team's wide receiver core is good. It's got some athletes, but there is no dude. There is a lot of mismatched game planning, it feels like. There's never a consistent guy that they can turn to, which means you need a really good distributor. You need a guy with a big, strong arm, willing to take chances. I see Jordan Love taking that huge step as he has gradually done every single year. I know that last year was kind of the year that everyone's like, oh, this is going to be the big year for Jordan Love. And he he danced around. He was hurt. He was banged up.
He was hurt. And that's why if he played this past season fully healthy and had everything around him for the full year, I would be putting him in shit category. I would be putting him over there. But because I think he was just so banged up throughout the year, he powered through like a tough quarterback would, finished the season on a whimper. It happens. Still put up almost, 3,300 yards. That's gross. 11 picks. No, he's not. I know Jordan Love's good. I saw what he did to the Cowboys.
Yeah, don't overthink this.
I'm not going to talk myself
Don't look at the box
there.
score. That is a very poor indicator.
Yeah, but
speaking of which, the next guy, though, the box score is very important for his conversation because I think naturally Caleb Williams gets a lot of criticism. I think a lot of people immediately jump to the side of, man, this guy was very inconsistent. He needs to prove himself. He still threw for 3,500 yards. He had 20 touchdowns. I think the most important thing for me supporting him in this circumstance, he had Shane Waldron calling the damn plays for him. Shane Waldron, who coming into the year, we were all looking at each other thinking, why would you hire that guy? He couldn't have had a bigger group of misfits trying to organize and rally that team together around Caleb Williams. He was in some utter chaos. And for him to finish the way that he did, I think that he deserves some credit. He had a couple of really big games. He was leaned on a lot in some instances, a bunch of games where he had over 40 passing attempts, and he played decently well.
Yeah, but this isn't the give credit list. This isn't the play decently
well.
Why
is he shit then?
I think that he would be, if I were to put him in that category, I think he would be because we had a full season sample size. And if we're looking objectively, it's just not putting into context the bad organization, the mess around him. You would watch his play and say, kid's kind of shit. Even though I'm in his corner fully, and I've seen his rocket arm, and I believe
the big throws. You're like, man, that looks great.
I'm in the same exact box as you, but for the actual conversation of how you're going to categorize him. Not hopeful.
You're saying a whole bunch of things that aren't really evidence. You're just like, well, if we have the conversation about where he stands,
exactly. Well, you're throwing in the mess of it. The list is not who had the worst front office around the quarterback.
But the list is about the quarterback. It's not about the negative qualities around him that were dragging him down.
You qualified at Caleb Williams not being on the shit list by the negative qualities dragging him down.
That's what I'm saying. We have to talk about those things. We're not tiering quarterbacks and situations. We're not tiering quarterback situations. We're tiering quarterbacks.
For this list specifically?
For everything he was dealing with, I think that he proved he is not shit.
Okay.
You're saying he is?
I am.
Are you overriding me?
I'm not overriding you. We could have a split vote here. This guy.
No, we're not allowed to have a split vote. We got to come to a what?
Because I'm not.
The way that you looked, you made it seem like something was wrong with, like we were doing a show with no audio.
No. we should be good there. But he's right there on the fence, and I'm a Caleb Williams believer. But this past year, what he put out there for that sample size was not good. It was very not good. A lot of the scrambling, a lot of the things that you thought he could translate
was
from college
a
into the
rookie.
NFL.
He
We
is
put
a
Bryce
rookie.
Young on the shit list. I think their best moments,
Because-
we stacked Bryce Young's best moments and best optics as a passer this past year. And the 5 best plays for Bryce Young, 5 best plays for Caleb Williams, they're not much different.
No,
I don't think so.
No. There is a stark gap between the big plays from Caleb Williams than there were from the big plays from Bryce Young. Now, Bryce Young has a lot less to work with, and he probably has the worst situation. You know what? Fine. We did it to Bryce Young. I will allow for it. Caleb Williams goes in the shit tier. Matthew Stafford, not shit. Won a Super Bowl. He has been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. The Giants were so close. We were so close, but that's not what we're here to talk about.
You guys weren't close.
The thought was entertained. The thought was entertained.
Close.
That's all that matters. If you see a baddie at the bar and she kind of gives you the look down and thinks about it, like I'll text you later, and you don't get the text back. She at least thought about it.
You think the Giants got Matthew Stafford's number at a bar? You think?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
No
That's exactly what happened. They were
No.
in trade negotiations.
The Giants bought Matthew
The
Stafford.
conversation was had.
They sent the drink over at the other end of the bar, and they
and then
never
she went
talked.
back to her ex-boyfriend.
They never had a conversation.
Okay, fine.
Come on.
All right.
I got the number.
This is a tough one. Screw you. This is a tough one. Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray, shit list for me. There's been no game evolution. There's been no progression. It's just been Kyler Murray doing the Kyler Murray bit. He was doing the Kyler Murray bit when they had Kingsbury. Since post Kingsbury, I haven't seen, whoa, this Kyler Murray looks new and electric, and he's got his head clear, and he's doing all the things that he should have been doing, but he had these Arizona Cardinals franchise distractions around him. He's stayed at the same level. He's produced relatively the same amount of wins, continuously frustrating, makes awesome plays, but does nothing. So the Cardinals have had years to take a shot at the NFC West. They have always been stuck at the bottom. I think
the way that you just described that is a really good way of putting it. Where has the progression been? And I know that he had the ACL. He has had a lot of turnover with receivers. He's had a lot of turnover with coaches. It has been a revolving door of messiness. But the joke about him playing video games too much applies when every snap, I'm not calling him unprepared, but he looks unprepared every single time he has the ball in his hands because he's the freelancer of all freelancers. We criticize Caleb Williams for doing it, but Kyler Murray freelances a shitload. He has not really, it feels like, taken that step of learning how to play from the pocket, actually learning how to play NFL quarterback. It's Mighty Mouse running around. So I'll put him in shit until he proves us wrong.
I think Kyler Murray should be the barometer for it because all of the quarterbacks in the not shit tier, I think could have taken the Cardinals to the playoffs while in the same amount of time that Kyler's been in Arizona.
You know what? Actually, wait. Now that you shouldn't have said that because I don't agree. I don't agree with you saying. I don't agree with that point.
Who do you think would take him?
No. But I think that without Kyler, that team's
but
that
with
team
Kyler, what are they
like
doing?
Was a bottom 3 team last year.
But with Kyler, what are they doing?
They're towing the line, but like defensively, they had no athletes on defense, and their defense was so mediocre through stretches. Offense outside of Marvin Harrison Jr., who's needs to take a bigger step and needs to prove himself. Who was he really throwing to?
Trey McBride. They had James Conner in the backfield. James Conner, I'm not saying, hey, everyone fill in the arena to come watch James Conner play, but James Conner's on that offense. They haven't been dealt
elevating more than we're giving him credit for.
I don't think he's elevating enough. Do you think Jane Daniels makes the Cardinals a playoff team? Think Dak does? Jalen Hurts does?
Well, obviously, all of these guys I can't believe I let you talk me into Michael Penix.
Of course.
I can't believe
he's the truth.
We might need to revisit that because one of these things is not like the other when we're looking at all of these guys that are listed here.
He's the truth. Are you kidding? You watched him with your own eyes. You saw what he's capable of. Sorry, Kyler.
All right. I'm putting Brock Purdy very confidently in the shit category. Look,
no.
Brock Purdy. I was on the Charity Stripe show on Tuesday. And of course, Alex felt the need to bring up the take that I had a couple of years ago that they should start. This was after Brock Purdy started the end of the season and they went on that great run and he looked as good as he did. I had said at the time that Trey Lance should still start. And he brought that up back in my face about like how Brock has outproven Trey and all that crap.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to get such a rude awakening with Brock Purdy when he signs this new contract. And I think a lot of smart football people know this. Shout out to Brandon Deutsch, who was also on the show with me, and he agreed with me, and he covers the 49ers, that the minute that you commit this money to him, he is not an elevator. He would be the best shit quarterback in the shit list. He would be the best guy in that category because he is good enough to drive move the, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where
drive the car.
That's not
what I was. In the car.
My brain is fried right now. He can produce success with a lot of great pieces around him.
Mm-hmm.
Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, all of those weapons, an elite defense. But now that Brandon Ayuk could get moved, you already got rid of Deebo. Trent Williams is at the end of his career. Christian McCaffrey is beyond banged up. What does he do when you don't have the money to go and sign and trade and bring in any of those pieces?
He's a very good quarterback when he's cheap, when he could stay cheap and the team can build around him. I have no problem with him being in this category. I have no problem with it because
he's the best of the group.
Well, I like Brock Purdy, and I think a lot of people like Brock Purdy. When you have to constantly say, I like this guy before really talking about him, kind of lets you know how you already feel. And that's what all the dialogue is about Brock Purdy. It's, oh, I like him. He brought him to a Super Bowl. Kinda. He was there. He was on the ride with him, but I don't think he brought him to the Super Bowl. Last year, he didn't bring them to the playoffs, even though he was still on a very similar team. Yeah, there were some injuries, but not shit quarterbacks would have overcome that with that franchise, with that San Francisco roster. Yeah, Brock Purdy, welcome to the list, pal.
That's all of our guys. To quickly recap. One more? Wait, who did I miss?
Yeah, Darnold. Oh, did you control X and then waiting to control V?
No, okay, last one then. Sam Darnold, where do we put him?
Shit category.
Yeah, I don't know. Am I supposed to go with one season of proof that he's that? Jesus.
I'm glad that I don't. Yeah, thank you.
Well, I'm one season of great performance with the Vikings. One situation is not enough for me to feel that he is an above average quarterback.
It certainly does not warrant to be put in on a list with Stafford, Hurts, Daniels.
I'm moving Michael Penix.
What are you talking about? You can't move Penix.
I've made an executive decision.
You cannot.
That's crazy. I let you talk. I mean, he hasn't done it.
He's a franchise quarterback.
What was his?
He's going to be a franchise quarterback.
You better hope that comes to fruition with you making statements like that.
I don't need to hope for Jack.
Cashing checks before he's done anything.
I don't need to hope for anything. He's got it. He has it.
Moving him.
No. You don't go moving him.
One of these things is not like the other. He is the most out of place on the not shit list.
No, he's not. He is very much in place.
To reread through what we have.
Crazy.
Our shit quarterbacks in the NFL. Derek Carr in the NFC. Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, Michael Penix. Not shit. Baker Mayfield, Jaden Daniels, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Matthew Stafford. You're telling me that there's not a bit of a line of demarcation between, hey, these guys are proven long-term starters that have won and have had success and have been elevators, and Michael Penix doesn't fit into that?
How about
we got a lot of qualifiers.
How about the line of demarcation
between
Kirk Cousins' play as an Atlanta Falcons starting quarterback versus Michael Penix's play? And how much more elevated it was over than Kirk Cousins. So Kirk Cousins is a definitive shit player, and then Michael Penix elevates over and past him.
If your comparison is Kirk Cousins off of an Achilles at the end of his career, then we don't have a strong argument for him.
Oh, no. It's a great argument, Joe, because people were happy about that move. Kirk still had juice. Kirk was coming off of a string of 4,000 yard passing seasons. 30 touchdown seasons, going berserk.
This is not.
And then the guy that replaces him is better.
I'm fine moving him, man. I'm fine moving him. But
I know you're fine moving him. You put him on the shit list.
No, I'm fine moving him after he starts and they go to the playoffs this year. He will be the first guy that I move.
How come a Giants quarterback isn't on here? Where's Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston?
Oh, did I accidentally delete?
No, we don't have one. Just put him. Just put him on the list.
All right.
You know which one we don't even have to.
Yeah, we're just
don't need a debate. But if my guy is getting thrown in here. Dude, I'm telling you. I know you watched Michael Penix play last year also.
I did, but he didn't play enough for me to.
Oh my God.
If we're gonna share the same degree of criticism for Bryce and for Caleb, we can't just.
Michael looked much better than Bryce Young last year, and he looked much better than Caleb Williams.
Of what criteria? Off of what criteria?
Passing capabilities, accuracy, the command that he holds as a quarterback. How about the way the offense moved in general in Atlanta when he got in there? Running game got better. You could actually throw down the field opposed to Kirk throwing hospital balls and limpy passes, noodles and ducks all over the place. No shot.
No.
You didn't get that with Penix. You got an elevated quarterback.
Who's Buff Bills talking about? Buff Bills. Are you talking about Penix? Is that who you're referring to? I don't know. I'm not saying this is what gets really difficult with doing the list like this, is that we don't have a bucket for the guys that haven't done enough to prove themselves. So we put ourselves in these difficult situations.
I think he did enough.
3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions,
I think he certainly did
proof.
enough.
He didn't
Did you watch him march back down on an NFC championship game contender against Washington?
How many times have we seen Anthony Richardson have a couple of really he has on his resume a couple of really dynamic games? Would you put him in the not shit category right now?
No. Anthony Richardson had one good pass against Houston. And he had some good rushing touchdowns from the 10 and in.
All right.
He didn't do anything like Michael Penix, like Michael did against Washington in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter
about a guy who played a handful of games.
We'll use this as fuel. He'll use it as fuel.
Yeah, I'm sure.